Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois, and today I have an alternative card to this month's paper pumpkin kit, which is called Farmhouse Florals. I have been getting my kits, it seems like later and later each month. I'm not sure what the problem is because they're coming the same way they always did, but it's taking them a lot longer for some reason. So that leaves me very limited time to design. But like I said, I did design one card. I hope you like it. This paper pumpkin kit came with not one but two stamp sets that coordinate really nicely with each other. So I've used some of the stamps from each of the sets for this card. I think it's adorable. I love what was in the stamp sets. And you have some options for an inside sentiment too, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's get started. So here is the kit with the picture of the cards if you make them in the way they come in the kit, which I am planning to do. That's kind of been my thing, is to use the stamps or any extra pieces. And shockingly, in this kit, the envelopes, sometimes the insides have a pretty pattern. They haven't done that for a while. And even the card bases, the back sides are just white. So there wasn't any reason to cut them apart. It kind of made me sad that I didn't have so much to work with like I usually do. So, and comes with Secret C, which we're actually not going to use today because we're matching the sentiments up with some DSP. And so I picked a couple of different ones, as you'll see in a minute. But yeah, it made me really sad. I'll show you. Let me pull out. Here are the cards. So it used to be that inside here often there was some kind of design, and so you would cut it, or I would cut it apart and use it as a card front, and I love doing that. Seems like they haven't done that in quite a while, but typically there is a card base that is decorated on both sides, but you can see here's one. This one is completely pretty much like a naturals white. It's a little speckled, and I think, you know, that's definitely purposeful. And then here's the other one. So there's really, to me, that wasn't very exciting to use as a backside since it is very subtle. So I didn't use it. Made me a little sad. But I did use the stamps, and you'll see this set comes with two stamp sets, which is fantastic. Lots of sentiments. So I used some of the stamps from both of them. We're going to use, yeah, some of the sentiments, but like I made a thank you card, but you can use just a note, forever your friend. And this one says, good friends are hard to find. I'm so glad we found each other. Thank you for your constant friendship and listening ear. So I really like this, the versatility and the fact that Stampin' Up! Has gotten much better at including sentiments that you can use on the inside of the card. And actually that's true. For the first time ever in a paper pumpkin kit, this is the inside. It took me a minute to figure out, like, why would they stamp that and then cover it up? And I realized it was the inside, and that's why they show you the open card. It's the same thing. They did the same thing for all three of them. And then this one, just the orientation is different because the card opens a different way. But I mean, that's a first. And I do like that. And maybe that's why they made the backside just white so that you wouldn't cut it apart. But you could do that no matter which, you know, even if you were using a different card base, but whatever. So anyway, that's the kit. And I am going to start with my card. So here we go. So here is the card that I designed. And we're going to use different DSP this time, but this was the first one, and I used the Unbounded Beauty DSP, and I discovered after I made this version that it was on the last chance list, which is not as big a deal, but it was also on low inventory. So I wanted to do another one using different DSP. I had already actually picked it out before I knew that, so we're going to use that today. And the one that we're going to use is not on the last chance list and will be available until the annual catalog is ready to be retired. So that one's a much safer bet. But if you have this in your stash, if you're like me, these are my preferred colors. So I love this one, but I'm going to put it aside so that we can get started. And I am going to show, initially I stamped both of these stamps, which you'll see in a minute, and then cut them out, fussy cut them. And then I decided to mount them on a white circle. So it made more sense just to stamp right on it, way easier and quicker. So that is what I did. So we're starting with a basic white card base. And I really wish I had had time to do more than one card, but I don't know what it is about all of a sudden, the last maybe 4 or 5 months, my paper pumpkin kit takes so much longer to get here and tends to ship later too. So I apologize that there's only one card, but that's why, because I wanted to get this video out before the next kit comes, or till some people get it anyway. Okay, and this is the DSP that I have cut, similar, same sizes to what's here. This is 2 inches by 4 1/4, and this is 3 1/2 inches by 4 1/4. I had a little boo-boo there as I was showing that these are both the same DSP, one side and then the other, and then I put the glue on this side. Whoops, we're gonna put the glue on this side this time. I don't want to make that mistake again. It's just because this side is so pretty. I don't know if I edited it out or not. But this was also the 2 sides of the same DSP, I believe. Just kind of worked out that way. Although, you know, a lot of times the opposite side is one that coordinates with the front side. So maybe not that unusual after all. So now I have a scrap of basic white, and we're going to stamp, and then we're going to punch out our image. So I'm bringing in my Memento black and one of the stamps from, I believe, from the extra set of stamps that's included. So we'll do this. And then I'm going to bring in Berry Burst this time. So, and we're going to leave the Memento though, because I'm going to use it again in just a minute for the sentiment. But first, we're going to stamp the Berry Burst, the flowers. This one was Petunia Pop. Sure we have that inked well, and then line it up, which is very hard to do on camera unless you're standing. All right, pretty good. And we're going to use this, maybe we'll do the sentiment. So on the inside I stamped, yeah, we'll do the flowers actually on the inside. So I'm going to bring this in. There's another stamp that comes in the kit. I'm going to ink that up with Berry Burst and stamp it right here. I'm also going to bring in an envelope and do the same thing. So we'll let that kind of dry a little bit. Sometimes those darker colors take a minute. And get one more time. And then do the same thing on the envelope. So yeah, I've got a little bit juicy, that ink pad. I kind of pressed a little bit too hard, but it's okay, especially on the envelope, but I'm less concerned about that. So luckily no one is inspecting them. All right, so I'm going to take this out of the way. So we're done with that. And now for I'm going to move this because we're done with that as well. For the inside, we are going to bring in a couple of the other colors. We're going to use Pretty in Pink, and we're going to use Old Olive, which I think is, I don't know, it's kind of in between, maybe this one. It just says Old Olive and I think Lemon Lime Twist with this paper, but this seems darker than Lemon Lime Twist. It almost looked like Granny Apple Green to me, and this almost looks like Mossy Meadow. So, but we went with Old Olive. That's what says coordinates, so that works for me. And like I said, if you saw here, I stamped in 2 different colors. So we're going to do Old Olive for You're Simply the Best. So we'll do that. But yeah, if you wanted to try a different green, go for it. Little crooked because, again, difficult to do it without standing up. But that's the only thing we need the Old Olive for. And then I'm going to bring Pretty in Pink in. And we're going to stamp Thank You. And there are lots of sentiments that come with this set, as I showed earlier. So you really have your choice of what you want to use for this card, obviously. And there's our Thank You. So we just have one more thing to stamp. Just checking to see that this looks like it's dry, so I think we're good. And then I'm gonna bring this back in, put this away, and then we're gonna stamp for a great friend right inside that pot. And we're gonna do that in the Memento. So that is all of our stamping. Now I'm going to bring in my Old Olive blends, and that is also one thing to keep in mind if you want the inside and the front to coordinate. In fact, I'm going to use my bone folder on this. Get it lying flat again. Because you want to make sure then you obviously pick the same blend, or at least that's what I like to do. So I'm going to start with the light Old Olive and the brush end. And I'm just going to color this in. Probably I will fast forward it, but just I'm using the light one and covering the entire pot. And actually the first time I colored it in and then stamped, and this time I stamped and then colored, I don't think it makes that much difference. And then I just added a little bit of definition, and it was very subtle. This is Summer Splash, and it was very subtle, the light versus the dark. This one looks like it may be a little more prominent, a little bit more of a difference between the two, but that's all right too. Do like this, and then I usually come back in with the light to help blend it. And then I did go over it again, kind of gave it a second coat of the light once I had done that, even with the Summer Splash. All right, now we're going to take the 2 3/8 inch circle punch and center this and then cut it out. And I did on this one, cut it out and then stamp it. So you could do it either way. I didn't really have an issue. I'm going to use the same ribbon that I used for the first card. This is the white ribbon. Couldn't get a simpler name than that. And I used the white. I thought about coloring it, but because on both of these cards, the background was a little darker, and especially on this one, I think the white makes a good contrast. I'm just kind of measuring out, eyeballing how long I want the tails to be and the loop at the top, and then cutting at an angle. And I usually will then take my glue dot just like this and put the two halves together just so that it stays kind of put where I want it. Let's see, like that. Let me trim that up a little bit, but I won't worry about that right now. And then I'm going to put dimensionals, or I'm going to put glue dots on the front of this now and attach it. I usually put a couple and then attach it. So a couple in the middle, attach it to my die cut or my punch there. And now I'm going to take my dimensionals. I usually overlap to kind of help hold things in place a little bit. Just like this. And then I'm just going to fill in a couple more, well, a few more, because I don't want it to be saggy at any point. So I do tend to use quite a few. And I'm going to take the paper off. And now I'm going to place it here, centering it. Hopefully, whoops, about like that. The only thing I have left is some gems, and I'm using the same ones actually that I used. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the same ones that I used for this card, which is the 2024-2026 in color flat pearls, because I want to bring out that pink for sure. So I may just use the pink. Yeah, I think I'm just going to use the pink. So I like the pink with the green too. So we'll put a couple here And maybe we'll put one of the small ones up here. This here I used 2 medium ones and a large, and here I'm using one of each size, small, medium, and large. But oh yeah, I do like the pink. Then it draws in the pink from here. And that is it. That is my card for today. Let me move it here, and I'm just going to quickly show you the Celebratory Sips DSP. And here are the DSPs. Very fun. I really like this. And then, of course, the other side. So this one, obviously, the one that we used on today's card. And that's the other side of it. And you already saw the punch and the pearl, so that is it. So thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to turn my camera around to sign off. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you watching. Check out my other videos. I have lots of other cards, scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and techniques, and beginner videos. So hopefully there is more there that you will find useful. Leave me some love in the comments. I respond to every single one, and it really means a lot to me. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you click on the bell, you'll be notified when I post new videos. All right, thanks so much for joining me today, everyone. Take care and happy stamping.